what's up?
Baby, let's go.
What up? It's the Funky Samurai, Kensei Funky. And this is the Fan Zone with Tony and Roz, only on Radio of Color. Away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm glad this week is over. I need to get away. Go home and throw my clothes on. Come get your
Okay, testing, 1, 2, 3.
right away. Can't wait to see you looking lovely. I hope you're thinking of me. Cause all I want is time with you and don't need nothing more.
See all the smiles. I never do the eyes thing now.
Listen, I'm so in love with you that I can't help myself. No.
As long as it's me and you, we don't need nothing else. I got you. Yeah. Oh, let's make it last forever.
I'm so in love. First thing in the morning,
Yeah.
when I open my
Okay, guys, I'm gonna jump straight into it.
Yeah.
Because we also don't have time. First and foremost, I would like to apologize for the late start. But good evening to everybody in our stream and welcome to Let's Talk with the Fan Zone. We are talking about autism awareness. The date is actually the 2nd of April, so we've divided our Let's Talk with the Fan Zone Wednesdays into 2 parts. As you can see this evening, we are joined by Shanaz Ali. We just, Roz is just going to talk to her and she's going to unpack a piece of her heart and just inform us of her journey. So, for those of you who have just joined us, Roz is going to greet everybody.
No, I'm not. I greeted everybody.
No one heard you, Roseanne.
Okay.
And then we are going to tackle it.
Okay, so good evening, Jerry, Melanie, hi, Sean, hi, Zola Reddy, hi, Michelle Frankson, hi, Adrian Daniels, good morning, Auntie Karain, hi, Sean, hi, Francine, hi, Auntie G, hi, Emmy Sayed, who else do we have? Hi, Graham Claravett, Creason Chetty, good evening to you, good evening, Melissa, good evening, Strini Govenden. Donovan Naidu, good evening, Roxanne Reddy. Hi, Titi. Hi, Chef Tay. Hi, Adrian Daniels. Okay, so tonight on Let's Talk with the Fan Zone, as you can see, we have Shanaz with us. And our topic is on autism. So we've divided it into 2 weeks. So this week, we are going to concentrate on diagnosis. So as you know, autism is a huge spectrum. And there's a lot of different categories that fall on the spectrum or under the spectrum. And as we all know, hi Rain, no 2 kids with autism are the same. Everyone has their own set of, well, if you can call them symptoms or abilities or disabilities, but not every child is the same. We are well aware of that. All children that are on the spectrum might experience different things. There might be some similarities, but if you meet one child with autism, you've met one child with autism. You cannot compare them. So Shanaz and I actually kind of share common ground in a sense where we're both autism parents, and from an autism, well, I understand it a little bit more because I have a child that's autistic. So tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to try just give you a little bit of insight on maybe what to look for. Also a little bit of insight on how to go about getting a diagnosis. And then from there, we're then going to branch in our next show. We're going to try to get a remedial teacher in to speak about remedial teaching children that are autistic. And obviously in South Africa, how we go about doing this. So, hi Navash, I see you there. So firstly, Shanaz, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Shanaz. I have a 13-year-old son, special son, Caden. And yeah, so it's just him and I and his granny, Ma, that makes up our family unit.
Okay, so I want to ask you, when you were pregnant with Caden,
Yes.
Did you have any difficulties in your pregnancy?
No, nothing whatsoever. I think, well, that's always the first question. All those questionnaires, it always takes you back to how was your pregnancy. Absolutely normal, besides the fact that I put on 30 kg. But we won't talk about that. Yes, normal. Weighed a ton, went through every single thing, went through the checks. Unfortunately, autism is not like Down syndrome. It cannot be picked up at the normal checkup. And yeah, leading up to my delivery date, everything was perfect.
Okay, and with your delivery date, did you have any complications during the birthing period?
No, it was a planned Caesar, so I knew exactly what time I was going in and over and done with, and yeah, everything was perfect. Caden was slightly jaundiced, so I had to leave the hospital, commute daily to see him for about 4 or 5 days. Obviously it breaks every mother's heart. You don't, you know, the cliche is, yes, your baby is born and you go with him. Yes, you take him out. So it was 4 or 5 days. He was in the incubator and took him home, healthy, normal. First day was a breeze. He was too good, you know. He
don't cry.
wasn't crying. Yes, and I thought, gosh, there's my angel. You know, there's this baby that, everybody was quite impressed. And then slowly but surely, I'm like, shouldn't there be gibberish? Like, shouldn't there be that, you know, 1 or 2 words, or trying to speak, or trying to, and then just focus, like he'd stare a lot and sort of be in his own world. And while Hannah, my cousin's daughter, was born on the same day, and I kind of, I looked at, compared a lot. Oh, Hannah's at this milestone, Hannah's here, Hannah's there. Caden is still very much delayed. And by nature, he's big built, and he was a very big Buddha baby. And the crawling took a little bit longer. And about 1.5 years old, Caden started banging his head. And that was the biggest,
alarm bell.
Yes, something is wrong, and up and down to a ped to say not normal. And he was a breastfed baby, so I didn't have to worry about particular foods. I would express when I was going to work, so he had bottles, or he'd wait patiently for me to get home. So I didn't notice anything about the eating habits then. But like I said, the banging of the head, the mini tantrums when he wasn't getting his way, and helplessness, because everywhere you go to, you know, the diagnosis is always the same. Lazy boy, mum. He's still young. He's still developing. He's delayed. Give him some time. Be patient. It's the terrible 2s. It's the terrible 3s. And in all this time, as a mum, a young mum, or somewhat also lost, because it's taboo. We don't talk about special or disabilities, or
the stigma.
Yes, and there's no resource, because for everybody else their journey is different, so nobody
Yes.
put a label to exactly what was wrong. So I felt very alone, and excuse me, and learning everything for the first time. Like, oh my word, I won't say a perfectionist, but I like to be in control of everything that I do and say that's around me. So constant researching, trying to find out what is the problem, telling the doctors what is the problem. So at about 3.5 years, we were in Johannesburg. Kaden was 3.5 years old. Went to a new neuroped who said, okay, let's do a brain scan, let's see where we're at, what is wrong. Because on the outside, Kaden was perfectly normal. No, there's nothing wrong. So definitely the confirmation was from the EEG, and thereafter, it was the journey of where do we go to from here. There was a slight abnormality in the front of his brain, which spoke to the developmental delay. And even with that, a misdiagnosis of being epileptic and putting him on Epilim. Now, all of this is money at the same time.
And those neuropeds
Yes.
are expensive.
And then
They
the
don't take medical aid. You have to pay cash.
I tell you, and yes, and medical aid reimburses you
Yes.
80%.
Yes.
It's a schlep. But you know what? As a frantic mother who is experiencing this, you want to believe everybody has your best interest at heart. And then the neuroped would send you to their friend, who's the educational psychologist, who would send you to their friend. And, you running around trying by all means to get some joy, some comfort. And I remember even saying to the neuroped, can we not just cut his head open? Do an operation
To see what is actually going on
put
there.
those bones back together, put those whatever the issue is, because you also want, your dream is to have this perfect child who's put together properly. And sometimes it's also selfish because it makes your life easier by having someone who you believe is perfect. So in running around and trying to get somewhere, just tell me what is wrong, let's deal with it, let's find ways to make his life better.
easier.
Because the more I don't understand, the more my emotions are all over the place.
You can't help someone if you
Yes.
don't understand.
Exactly.
So,
And leading up to that, like I said, I didn't have any education. I didn't have any background. There was nobody I could relate to within family. So it was a struggle. It was a big struggle.
okay, so when we spoke previously, you did tell me that you got Caden's diagnosis at 4.
Yes.
Okay, so who did that diagnosis? An educational psychologist?
Yes, because the educational psychologist has to go through behavior
Behavior
assisted
assisted,
them
yes.
and then give you the outcome in terms of the sphere and anything else. So that's when we got the autism sphere, the developmental delay, nonverbal. So yeah, so that kind of then gave me a sense of now I know what we dealing with and how do we go forward. Yes.
Okay, so when the educational psychologist actually gave you the report, and did he explain everything to you?
Well, it's like when you hear any bit of bad news, you almost blocked out completely because already in your mind you're working out where to from here. Is this me? Is this my child? How long does this last? So the important questions at that moment in time fail you because you're now digesting so much of information.
So when he mentioned autism, did you at that point know what autism is?
No, not
Sorry.
What is Tony doing?
There was like a fly.
yes, she's protecting me from the fly.
Okay, so the reason why I'm asking you this is because while you're talking and taking me through this, I'm actually going back to when I went through it. And when the doctor had said autism, I had heard of people talking about autistic children, but I didn't know what it actually meant.
Yeah, no, true.
So when you are actually there and they're telling you this, and it's like, I don't know, my report was like a 4-page report.
Yeah.
With just different categories and then explaining each category. How did you feel when you left
the educational psychologist?
Overwhelmed and heartbroken because I just kept picturing the worst. Like everything was just, in my mind trying to break it down, simplify it, and just getting that moment of a panic attack. I literally jumped in the car, bawled my eyes out, and just, I was just filled with panic because I thought, how am I going to cope for him? How can I be the best mom for him and not be reduced to that mom who just lets her emotions take over and makes excuses and always wants to play the victim part and oh me, why me? It's almost like, get yourself together. How are we going to get back up and deal with this? It is what it is, but how can we get even more information, be knowledgeable? How can we get more just equipping every single thing? And then doors started closing because now it was about schooling.
Yes.
So you've got this diagnosis and then you start the schooling phase of who can take my kid, where are we going to go to?
Before I go on, in the educational psychologist, do they not refer? Do they not say
She did.
These are the schools?
She did.
The reason why I'm asking is because that is what they actually said to me.
Yeah.
This is the school that we would suggest he actually go to. I just want to share something before. When I found out my son was diagnosed at 8 years old, and his process was a lot different because he was pretty, what we would say, neurotypical up until I always felt that there was something amiss. I thought it was a maturity problem more than anything else. And I kept on saying to his teachers, we need to keep him back here because I feel like he's not mature enough to go to the next grade because I could kind of see there was something there, but I didn't know what it was. And then when he got to grade 3, I think it was, his teacher called me in. She said, well, Roseanne, you've been asking every year since he's been in grade R. He's now ticked a few boxes for autism, and I would like to get an educational psychologist in to give him an evaluation. And just to let everybody know, these evaluations are quite expensive. It's like 3,500 rand plus 3,500 and above, depending on which educational psychologist you're going to. And they did it, and we went in, and they explained everything to me. And the reason why I started with the story because I remember walking away from the school with a sense of, okay, we found out the problem, now we can work towards solving it.
Exactly.
And I hadn't read up about anything because they've given me all this information that I was hearing for the first time. And I distinctly remember walking out the school and phoning Tony and saying, Tony, they've just told me Jude is autistic. And then I distinctly remember Tony saying, oh, he will grow out of it.
Yeah.
Because at that time,
reaction.
we did not know that. And I was quite fine. I was quite happy. I was like, oh my gosh, we found the problem and now we are going to sort the problem out. And then like Tony was like, don't worry, he's going to grow out of it. And I jumped in my car and I was very excited. I was happy because yes, we made some headway.
Yes.
And I think it hit me about a week later because I started reading up on autism. And then I started reading up on, because he falls under Asperger's, he's high functioning. I started reading up about it and I realized that he's not going to grow out of this. And I realized this is who he is. He's going to be like this forever. And we have to adapt to be like him, and that's when I broke. It must have been like a week later, and I just sat there and I was like, I can't believe that this is
no, but the best part about it is all the conspiracy theories. So there was the vaccine, and
they speak about the vaccines in the
because
comments.
also leading up to a particular one, Caden met all his milestones. He really did. And I think there is that one, whether it's at 12 or 14 months or whatever, and you start to see, like they say, the regress and different behaviors and so forth. Because when you do the history, I didn't have a history of disabilities, learning disabilities, and neither did my ex-husband as well. His family also didn't. So for me, we were also trying to connect the dots to see, because in most cases, it is hereditary or genetic. So right now, trying to establish that, and then I remember at one stage I considered conceiving again, and then I was filled with panic because I'm almost like, if I'm carrying the gene, and I know too many stories where you can have more severe kids, and then my gynae said, well, we'll have to run a series of tests, because I'm almost at, if this is Caden's diagnosis and the fear now of bringing another kid into this world with more severe disabilities, and the stories I continue to read and hear is horrific. And let's be honest, unfortunately, with the diagnosis, a lot of relationships do suffer. And it's not just the men that can't cope. Females have breakdowns, you have PTSD, you have so many challenges, because like I said, it's taboo, it's not spoken about, nobody knows about it. If I did not join the Action in Autism or autism chat groups to educate myself and to know that there's other
kids, that you're not alone
out there sharing their stories, sharing their wins, sharing anything that can help you, I think I would have broken, because mentally you really have to be so strong. Besides the fact that when you do take your kid out there, you have to be mindful of, is he going to have a tantrum? Could the strangest, softest, loudest sound unfortunately bring out a tantrum or a episode or a meltdown? And we begin to be so conscious of other people's feelings and their reactions and behaviors that we shelter our kids and we force them indoors to protect other people.
But that's what I did with Jude. When Jude did certain things, Jude didn't like certain things, so he doesn't function well in loud spaces. So brides and parties and family functions, I kind of avoided. Because he can't find, noise is a huge thing for him. And then obviously if there are other kids around and they are running around, he can't take it.
No, so that's true. No, but also when they screaming, they can handle their own scream.
Yes, they can scream louder. They can actually scream louder. Just simple things like in the car playing music at home. I was a person that when I cleaned up, the music was blaring, and Jada and I would clean up the house. Since Jude, we don't play any music at home. I mean, Jade will play our own music on her phone in her room, but our actual hi-fi has not been on in like a few years because of Jude's sound sensitivity. So for the people in the comments or in the audience, the reason why I wanted to focus on diagnosis is because only once you have a diagnosis can you actually say where your child is on the spectrum. So basically, like with you had it from when he was obviously 4 years old, and then you
then
before 4 years old. That's when your journey started. Now with me, I had signs from a pregnancy, and I had signs from the time he was born, and I kept on going to the doctor, and I kept on saying something's off. And because I had Jay the first, I kind of was aware of what milestones he should have been at. And he wasn't getting to those milestones. He did, like you said, the first year or the first 2 years, they were absolutely awesome. And then after that, like his speech took long. Potty training was a nightmare. There was just certain things that I picked up on.
Foods also.
And the foods, like the purity, he went from the first to the second, and then he refused to take any others. So it was textures, hot, cold, all of that. And I kept on saying it, and the doctor kept on saying, "Mother, he's a boy. Do not compare him to your daughter. Boys don't mature as quickly as girls." And so you just go around thinking, okay, well, he's a boy. And then at one point I thought, oh, boys really this slow? I was like,
Yes.
I was actually like, oh, boys really this slow? Like, what is going on here? And if I didn't push for a diagnosis, if I didn't push the school to get a diagnosis, I don't think they would have got a diagnosis.
No.
So Jude would have carried on through school with, he had a problem with English.
Okay.
So basically, when it comes to maths, he's a maths whiz, but he gets bored for English because he doesn't want to learn ABC when he can tell you why we float in the Dead Sea.
Yes.
So when it came to English, he was totally blanked out. He didn't want to participate. It was not interesting enough for him. So obviously his English suffered.
Yes.
So this was one of the reasons also why they pushed me. I pushed for a diagnosis because I could see it's like I used to open a book and they used to be like, I'm not doing this.
For me, the challenge was also, like you said, when the school, the educational psychologist gives you that list of schools and you go to those schools and the first thing they do an interview and they're like, no, sorry, we can't take him. He's non-verbal. I went, I think must have been about 8 to 10 schools, literally close their doors in our faces. And it's heartbreaking because you need some kind of, yes, you've got the diagnosis now you want to put your kid out in the world. Every parent fights for survival, and your only thought is, how can I get him learn it? How can I get him in an environment with other kids, socialize, because I'm an only child.
His basic human
Caden
rights.
is an only child, so our circle is also quite tiny, but you know, you have family, they have their own lives, and they try, but it's just still not the same thing. So the doors were being closed, and I was at my wit's end because I thought that he's getting older, and the older he's getting feistier. You know, he's developing his personality, he's developing his mood swings, his tantrums, and he himself, no matter what age, they manipulate us. And they know how to push our buttons. So then I went to Liza at Action in Autism, and and that was in Sydenham because that was for me. I felt like if I cannot get any joy here, that's it. I pack up, I leave, I go back to Cape Town. I can't deal. It's too stressful. It's too demanding. And from there, I got another list of schools and so forth, and we finally then chose one, went through the Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo, and found Action, Arise and Shine, which is Hanisa in Durban North, Umhlanga. And Caden, they assessed him and took him in there. There was an occupational therapist in the school, a speech therapist, and that worked. That was the first official school that he was accepted, and I had him in. So thankfully it went well for the about 4 to 5 years that Caden was with them. But sure, you know, like I said, there's not enough forums, platforms for mothers, fathers, parents to just get the information they need. And unfortunately, you have to know somebody, like everything in life, or who's who, or doctors, and like you're saying, everything is covered privately.
Yes.
And so if you really want to give your child a good chance at life, you have to be financially secure. That is it. And unfortunately, like I said, it was a challenging road. A long road. It still is every day. We have our milestones. Caden does his puzzles. He does it back to front. He will put a puzzle together without even looking at the picture, back to front. So these those amazing little milestones.
Abilities.
And making tea. He can make his cup of tea. And he's also trying to push through and show his independence, which I'm encouraging as well.
Is he still non-verbal?
Yes, there's a few words that he can say, very, very limited. So I took him to a speech therapist, another assessment the other day, and she's going to work with me now on how to get us to form sentences. And there's so many apps via iPad.
Gemini.
Exactly. But before before we go the route of a computer or technology speaking for him, I still want him to try. I guess it's every parent's hope and dream.
Okay,
and
so Tony once got a question,
Okay.
and then after Tony's question, I got a question.
So listen, guys, we have now 15 minutes. We're gonna try. We are gonna try get in as much stuff while Roz is gonna squiz through the comments department.
There's no comments, like everybody.
Zane, I saw your comments. You
Okay,
made
that
me
must be
extremely
further.
tearful, to say the least. But anyway, Shanaz, can you just give us? We spoke earlier, and you said that Caden is a routine person.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
can you just give us a day in the life of you guys?
Okay.
Whether it's a school day or a weekend
Yes.
day, like what?
Can I ask my question before your question? Because
Okay.
my question will feed into your question, right? So I want to know, he's non-verbal.
Yes.
How do you communicate with him?
Okay, so we Macintosh sign language where we've learned sit and the colors blue,
Yes.
red. So there's a whole lot of
I want to know that, yeah.
So it's the love you sign. It's many of that. So it's those one worded. But Caden's also vocal. So if he's hungry, he'll rub his stomach.
Okay.
Or he'll say food.
Okay.
And if he wants more, like I said, the Macintosh.
Yes.
And I've always tried to incorporate that in a sentence. So it will be I, food, like more. So
Yes.
I want more food. So we've been trying to do a lot of those connecting. And he goes to the toilet on his own. So thank the Lord, we're fine with that. And so my mum, my family, we understand exactly what he's saying. But now I've gotten to a point where I want a stranger to meet him for the first time and
And be
also
able
be
to
able
communicate.
exactly and hear what he wants to say, because I know there's so much in his
In his
brain,
brain.
and that's where the shouting would come in or the screaming, because
He doesn't know how to express.
yes, it's almost like, no, you are the problem. I'm not the problem. You're the problem. Yeah.
Yes.
And then back to what Tony was saying. So the day goes by on how Caden wakes up. So
Okay.
a typical school day, though, is he knows. Wakes up,
What
he
time?
brushes his teeth. So from 6 o'clock, he's up.
Okay.
Because with RP Mudi, he's been taking the bus. So we would come down here and to Sofish, and he jumps in the bus, waves nicely. He's got his seat. Everybody knows that's Caden's seat. Don't sit there. Don't. You don't even want to try that. And then jumps off. So because the bus and COVID, I take him in the morning with another kid, and the dad picks the kid up and Caden in the afternoon. So he knows structure, as in what time I get up, I've got to brush my teeth.
Okay, wait, can I stop you just
Yes.
right there? How did you guys get that right? So with this
Yes.
father that's now bringing him home,
Okay.
what did the introduction look like? What
Oh
was
no!
the look
Well,
and feel?
Caden always
Knows him.
Yes, because Trent, his dad, also stands at the bus stop, and Caden has a softer order towards males than what he does female, and he really likes Nicholas, so he knew him already.
Okay.
So that was fine. He was quite excited.
But as autism parents, we know, like Tony, if I'm going to introduce Jude to someone and I know that it's something, for example, the dentist.
Yeah.
When we are going to the dentist.
Oh no!
it
Flashcards,
took me-
reminder. Yeah,
it
and
took
if you're
me
good
a-
for you
yes.
KFC. Wow.
No, but it
Yeah,
took
you
me
got-
a month
Yes,
to prepare
yes,
him.
you have to.
Jude, you're going to go to the dentist. It's a lovely lady, and it takes you like a daily month
Yes.
to get it into his head.
Yes,
that
you
this
have
is
to.
what you're gonna do.
Yes.
It's not gonna hurt. She's gonna do this. She's gonna do that, and you have to be truthful.
No, true.
You can't say.
When we went to the podiatrist, I had to get a picture from her on who she is, what
Yes.
she looks like, and then, like you're saying, do the reminder of,
Yeah, it's
hey,
like-
we're going to see the foot doctor. This is what she looks like. Do you want to wave? Like, just to make the face
So it's
familiar.
not-
That's
as well.
exactly
Okay.
it. So
Yes.
us as
Right, we need
autism
to get
parents,
back into the
Yeah.
routine. It is now 10 to 7.
Us as autism parents, we know how our kids are, so we know how to prepare them for certain things.
Yes.
Even a simple thing like going back to school. You have to prepare them like at least a week in advance. Jude, you're going to go back to school
Yeah.
on such and such a day.
Nobody
Bedtime's going
likes
to go back to this. This is when. So it's
Yes.
in every single thing you have to advocate and
Yes, no,
prepare.
true.
You can't
And
just
you
put
know what?
them in it because it'll be a war.
But also, I've learned to find joy in the smallest of achievements. So when we took the training wheels off Caden's bicycle and he was riding on his own, I mean, he was even beating kids older than him. So it's those little sweet moments that you like, thank you, God. You know, there's a light.
Do you know,
There's hope.
ask Tony how
Don't know.
I tried to get Jude to ride a bike.
He's outgrown the bike. But anyway, we need to get back into Shanaz's
Yes.
routine.
Yes.
Like, talk to us.
Okay, so
We still need to do, guys.
Yes.
We haven't forgotten about the lights of the comments department. We're gonna do that in the last 5 minutes, which is in the next 5 minutes. Please, the autistic color is blue. Take note, please. I don't know what Shanaz. Anyway, so please.
Come from work.
Please look for your blue hearts and don't send anything yet. We are gonna send it when we play out with Caden's favorite song. Right, so your routine. Let's go.
Okay, so wakes up in the morning, he knows that he's served, he's the boss. So he's served with his tea and his biscuits and his Weet-Bix. That is the drill, and his medication, and that's how he starts his morning. Then after that, then he's like, cool, now I can switch on the TV, or I get my phone and it's games. So there's puzzles on his phone. And that's when he's not in school. So there's puzzles that he loves to work on, there's games, and then there's these silly Mr. Bean shows he can laugh himself silly. And so that's his moment, and he has a snack for lunch, and he's literally served. He is the boss. And he has the comforts of his bicycle, like I said. Everybody serves him and everybody caters around him. It's a challenge lately to the brushing of the teeth, I must be honest. But he knows it's just one of those things that have to be done.
Can I ask the challenge of the brushing of the teeth, because I have that as well.
Yeah.
I still brush Jude's teeth.
Yes, no, I still do.
I have that as well, but for me it's because of his sensitivities.
Okay.
So his gums, his nails, his gums, his hair,
Oh,
you
right,
can't
yeah.
touch his hair, you can't cut his nails, you can't, everything he is like overly sensitive to.
Yes.
And I actually asked him the one day, because with Jada, when Jada was a baby, I used to play with her hair to make her sleep. And she loved it. When Jude was a baby, every time I touched his head, he cried or pushed my hand away. And then when he got older, and I used to do it, and he used to say, Mom, please don't do that. I asked him, I said, Jude, like, why don't you like it?
Yeah.
Because everybody that I know likes that. He says, Mom, it feels like you are a puppy and you are scratching my head. So the sensitivity for him, that is what the non-wanting to brush his teeth is about.
Okay.
And then the gums will bleed, but it's very, very sensitive.
Yeah.
So I always have to get a softer toothbrush, or
Yes, no.
also because of his pickiness, get a different. He only likes Aquafresh.
Okay.
He can't have anything else.
So one of the questions somebody asked is, how does his cousins communicate to him? So Caden's cousins treat him like he is one of them.
Yes.
He hears. There's nothing wrong with his hearing. So they will talk to him like he is normal. And they follow and they understand him perfectly well. And Caden can be playing with them and he laughs himself silly. Like he can just stand back and watch them. And they hold his hand. He's a very lovable autistic child. He loves
Yes,
affection.
he
He
is.
hugs, he kisses.
Yeah,
He saw
we
you on
watched
Pick and Pay and he liked to swim for Jude.
No, but that was what I wanted to bring up.
Wait, guys, can I
Because-
just stop you quickly? We have got an extra 10 minutes grace. We would like to thank DJ Dazzle. She's having a little bit of issues, so we're just going to carry on with the
Okay,
conversation
okay.
until she
Okay.
jumps on board. So, guys, we are still here. Don't leave us at 7 o'clock. We're still talking to Shanaz Ali, who is just sharing. She's just sharing her look and feel on the day and basically giving us a huge piece of her heart. So if those of you have just joined in, where the hell have you been for the past hour? No, I'm joking. But guys, don't go away because we've got you till about 10 past, quarter past 7. Right.
Okay, so that's perfect. So Shanaz and I had known each other, not just known each other
Yeah.
because we live in the same area, and I think you brought one of your things with
Yes,
their eyelashes. Yes. So we got chatting. We got chatting about our kids, and that my son is autistic and her son is autistic. But I think it was Happy by the Sea.
Yes, it was.
Both of us pushing our trolleys with our kids, and I was like, oh, hi, and then like Jude and Caden just like kind of clicked. For some, and it was so weird because Jude is a child that he doesn't hug, he doesn't kiss. He'll only do that if he if he knows you. No, it's mine.
Okay.
He'll only do that if he knows you and he's comfortable with you. But he was like so comfortable with Caden.
Yeah.
And he allowed Caden to hug him.
Yes.
And to kiss him.
Yeah.
And you know,
Yeah.
Jude would not usually
Not even
do
from
that.
Yeah.
He
No.
would not usually do that.
No, but
So-
like I said, also when he saw Tony for the first time, like he was all smiled and waving and blowing kisses, and but that's the sensitivity of kids on the spectrum. They can somehow just sense
Yes.
also that silent communication.
Yes.
That otherwise we would have to judge somebody based on their looks and skin type and sound of their voice. And with him, it's something that you can never ever figure out.
I know, even Jude does it as well. Jude, sometimes I'm actually quite amazed because as a child, he's still a child, but as a toddler, he would be behind me. So if we walked into a venue and there were people that I needed to greet, he would actually be stuck behind me that like I couldn't even move because he doesn't want to hug and kiss. He doesn't want to greet because he didn't do that. But he got into a space where with my family, he started hugging, but he started hugging like this.
Yes.
So it's not like a
But slowly but surely
No,
when
Caden
it's
was-
like
yeah, it's like a
squeeze
little
and
hug.
about.
It's not a big hug. But so guys, back to our point of diagnosis.
Yes.
Okay, the reason why we're focusing on diagnosis is because a lot of kids go undiagnosed. And if you don't diagnose them early on in life, it really affects them later on in life. So if your child goes to primary school having some kind of disability, it can really break their self-esteem. And that's what happens when they get to high school and then they can't manage and then they don't want to finish high school and you get a lot of them dropping out.
Yeah.
But guys, as parents, we need to actually look for the signs. If you feel that something isn't right, then go and see a psychologist, see an educational psychologist, because if there's nothing wrong, there's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
But if there is, then you can remedy it.
Yeah.
But you can't remedy something that you don't know is there.
And also the medication, because a lot of
Request from you ladies.
neuropeds would throw the Risperdal and the Ritalin. And when I researched and I saw it was given to patients in a psych ward with phobias, because Caden, just within that week where he was walking up and down the stairs comfortably, he started going down in his bum. So he started being fearful of heights. And then the smallest insect, he would be traumatized. And then I started researching herbal, in line with anxiety and stress. And I went to the neuroped and said, no, I'm taking him off this medication. I will suffer the consequences, but I can't have my child fearful of heights and flies and insects. And then that's when, I started looking at the IQ brain and the syrup, the tablets, and anything and everything I tried just to see if I could calm him down. And that's a decision I made. And then I took him back to Dr. Mabawa and we had him on a softer medication as well. But also in that, I just couldn't. I didn't like what the medication was doing to him, and that was purely me as a parent saying long-term, there is long-term consequences, because any drug, no matter what it is for a long period of time, affects or impacts certain organs. So for me it was, I think the more I gave him the medication, in a way I was making him more addictive, because in my mind I'm saying, you know how many tablets to take at what time, and when I'm not there, God forbid, what then? And that's when I made the decision to say, let me explore other medication. And if he has a tantrum, or if he has to, for whatever reason, be abnormal or, outside of what society deems as perfect or normal, I will deal with that. My family will deal with that. But that being said, it was a decision I made.
Okay,
So
ladies,
let me tell you my view.
stop it.
No, wait. So my son is on Ritalin and is on Risperdal.
Okay, when you're done, I've got a question
And
for you,
he
ladies.
is thriving. The only side effect that we had from the Ritalin was he lost his appetite, and obviously he couldn't sleep. But that's why we were given the Risperdal to counteract the side effects of the Ritalin.
Yes.
So he's on 2 very small doses. His Ritalin he takes 1.5 a day, only at school.
Yes.
So during holidays and weekends he doesn't take it,
Okay.
and then he takes 0.2 milligrams of the Risperdal at night.
Yes.
And this has been, obviously, from the time he was 8, he's now 11. This has been a trial period to get his dosage right. So they first start you on half, then they start you on 1.
Yes.
And as it goes on. And Jude's PED appointment was on the 25th of March.
Yeah.
So it was last week we went for his PED appointment. And obviously, with any autistic mother knows that when you go in for your PED appointment, you need to get a letter from the school, and then the letter will give the progress report, how he's doing, what he needs to do, and stuff like that. And he got an excellent report. He got an excellent report. He is able to concentrate in class. He's still very noise sensitive, but that he is with or without the Ritalin. But the Ritalin has done absolutely amazing things for him. And when the school had said to me, we advise that you put him on it, I was gutted. I was absolutely gutted. I went and I researched it, and luckily I work for the pharmaceuticals. So I had a lot of people to advise me because I work for the pharmaceuticals. And we've got lots of pharmacists and a lot of information. But the Ritalin has actually changed Jude's life in a sense where he is now able to concentrate. And he went from getting very low marks for his English, which I thought would impact his Afrikaans. He went from getting very low marks to getting total, because he's getting total like for almost every single test, because he's now able to concentrate on that little dose. And obviously, when your children are on that type of medication, that type of medication, the peds constantly monitor their growth. And everything. And from September last year till March this year, Jude has grown 6 centimeters. So his growth is fine, his development is fine, and he's absolutely thriving on it. So, like we said in the beginning, not every kid that is on the spectrum is the same. And it doesn't mean because Ritalin works for me, it's going to work for Shanaz. Because their conditions are so different and so personalized to them that you can't, there's no way you can say, okay, I've got my son on this, try this. Because that does not
also
work.
just to Theo's point as well, I don't baby him. I don't speak any differently. If anything, I have to keep reminding my mum not to get too frustrated or too angry and say it or speak it, because the older people, it's also new to them.
And it's hard for them to comprehend.
I find there's a lot of moments she takes it personally where I have to keep reminding her, say it, but in the same tone as you would normally speak. Because also being sensitive to sound, pitch, and tone are so important.
It's
so
very important.
The way I speak to you, and I think that comes in years of being in retail as well. So I can feel something, I can want to shout it and scream it, but I can keep my voice at a normal tone. Yes, I do have those banshee moments. Oh my
When you're jumping and screaming.
Yes, when it's called for, but most times it's speaking to him. He's 13 years old, so I want to treat him like that adult as well.
Okay, guys, I've got a few questions for you. We're gonna start off with, guys, please remember those that are new to Let's Talk with the Fan Zone. Please note that we are not experts or professionals in this field. This is just a look and feel of Roz and Shanaz's personal experience. Okay, so there's one question I'm gonna deliver to the ladies, but how they feedback, I don't know if it's gonna be unsure. They can't really say a certain age or whatever because
Okay.
we don't know. So based on their personal experience. So Nicolette would like to know from you ladies, how did you guys go about the potty training?
Okay.
And at what age? Maybe a routine. I'm gonna start from the top. I've got about 3 or 4
Yes.
questions. You've
Yes.
answered those. So Shanaz, you can go first.
Well, my mum was definitely the superstar there. I was back at work and I had bought the potty. What do you, when you waste all that money buying those fancy things, the little baby toilets, no, it didn't work. And then eventually the little seat that goes on the toilet. So it was my mother's perseverance. And luckily, she was looking after my cousin's kid at the same time. So,
And tips, do you have any
Yes.
tips?
So Keenan and Caden were together, and she would literally force them, take them to the loo. And with Caden being, everything's habitual, everything you have to do it at a certain time, and you have to constantly look out for the signs. So that's why I said it was a godsend when we got Caden out of diapers and on a toilet, and he was comfortable with that. And back to what you're saying, for a lot of kids, the discomfort of a lot of things. So it's a heavy diaper, it's the uncomfortable feeling of all of that. So thankfully, routine, even if they didn't want to go to the toilet, he was forced to stand there, forced to go through those habits and all of that. So thankfully, with Caden we didn't have sleeping issues, we didn't have feeding issues, we didn't have anything of that sort. And thankfully, by the grace of God, the potty training also, didn't do potty training straight to the toilet, but yeah, that was also seamless.
Now, Ross, tell us.
Mine took forever. Mine, guys, took forever. Jude was quite fine with using a diaper or Kimby, like what we call it, disposables. He was like, I think he could have been in grade odd when he was still, because Jude's problem was he had a fear of falling into the toilet. So I got him to pee, in the toilet, but obviously now when he had to do the job, he refused. So he used to go in his corner. He used to actually come and say, "Mom, I need a Kimby." And he used to go in his corner, and that was it. So what I did was I got him one of those, steps. It's like a little thing that you put on the toilet, and it steps, and then it's got a toilet pan that goes over, so it's small enough for him to feel like he's not gonna fall in. So what I did was, because most autistic children are very routine children, what I used to do is, if I used to time him. So at around about the time that I knew he would need to use the toilet, I used to make him go and sit on the toilet. So like, go and sit on the toilet and sit there, give him his tablet or whatever he needs. He just needs to sit there. And then it just kind of happened.
Yeah.
But it took me a long time. The steps with the seat helped a lot, because that feeling of the toilet being too big and the
legs
and the potty being too small, because I think Jude's fear was now that it's going to come out or it's going to touch his skin.
True.
It's going to touch his skin. That was like, he was like,
but I also had
gutted
that little one that kind of made the hole seem smaller.
Yes.
Then because it would be daunting to see this big toilet.
Yeah, so that one was quite fine. You put the toilet pan up, you put it there, and you make them sit on it, give them, and that actually worked quite well. But Jude is still a child that won't use a public toilet. Like sometimes, like if you're at the beach or whatever.
Oh yeah, I also have that.
He will not.
No.
You won't even pee in the pool.
You won't, not
beach,
in the pool,
nothing.
not in the beach, nothing. It's like you cannot. He has to go to a toilet. He will not do that.
Okay, ladies, Wayne would like to know, how did you guys break it to the family?
Well, I was in Johannesburg at that stage, and yeah, you know, when you found one, you found all.
Yeah, the news travels.
Yes.
They find.
So, but also our suspicions, and we could all see it at family functions, Caden's behavior, grabbing, the holding on tight, and so forth. So I don't think, everybody was shocked, but it was also something where they wanted us to seek, the help we needed, the support. So I think if anything, they were happy for us that we now knew what we were faced with and how we can proceed from there.
So with me, I still have some members in my family that say, there's nothing wrong with them.
Oh, yeah.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with him. You are telling him that there's something wrong with him, and that's why he's acting like this. So I still have those people. But what I did was, in our family group, I scanned the educational psychologist's report.
Yes.
And I put that in my family group, and I said, this is the story, this is what has happened, this is what led up to this, and this is it. So from now on, this is what will happen.
Yeah.
So I basically didn't give anybody a choice or an opinion,
Yeah.
but now and then you'll still hear them saying, no, he can do it. Why are you treating him like he can't do it? Or with his eating habits, because Jude eats literally 4 things. Everything else he does not eat. Yeah, literally 4 things. So you'll still get those people that say, you don't try hard enough.
Does Caden eat everything?
No. Well, pizza's top of the list. Mac and cheese. Yes, he does rice and stews. He loves his veggies, his sweet potato, pumpkin.
A lot more than
That
Jude.
is a
No,
lot.
but only red meat, and maybe that's because I don't eat red meat, but it's tougher. It's more difficult, and he doesn't like things to be stuck in his teeth. So that's
Okay, guys, Zola would like to know, are there any grants for kids with autism? I know Theo is in a chat with Zola at the moment, but
yes,
There is a disability grant, but your income has to be below us. Your family, your household income has to be below a certain amount. So, not everybody
And with regards
has
to
qualify.
SARS?
With regards to SARS, you get a letter from either the school, or you get a letter from I get my letter from my peer.
yes.
It's actually a SARS form that they have to fill out, and it's got their practice number and everything on it, and you submit that with your whatever you've paid cash for. You submit all of that with your tax returns, and you do get a percentage back. In some cases it's huge. I know some schools do the tax back. So what they would do is, because it's like with Jude's school, he is a private section of a mainstream school. So the mainstream school fees are different to the private school fees. So what ends up happening is you get a tax rebate, so you'll get that difference between the private and the mainstream back. But not all schools do it, because I know some of the private schools, they tell you upfront, we don't do the tax back thing, and they don't give you any letters for tax back. But you can still get a letter, not a letter, but you can still get the forms filled in at your period, and then submit that.
Yes.
Okay, guys, we are going to say goodnight from us, and we're going to hand you over to the capable DJ Dazzle. The fans would like to thank Shanaz
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
so much
Thank
for
you.
coming on. Guys, it's not easy to sit here and speak to like 60 people, which you can't even see, about a day in the life of what goes on in your home. So we are grateful, to say the least, to have her on board and to just create an awareness. We know the stream, I mean, we're hoping that it will reach the platforms or the people that it needs to reach.
Okay, so guys, today we focused on diagnosis, and diagnosis is a huge thing. I know I get a lot of people messaging me to say, how did you know your child was autistic? How did you, and I always say to them, get a diagnosis first. Or how do you get your child into remedial school? Get a diagnosis first, because only then would you know exactly where your child falls on the spectrum and what school is actually best for them. Next week, guys, we want to talk about the different, what can you call them? The different, what you find under the spectrum. So your different categories, which will be your ADHD, your Asperger's, your high functioning, your anxiety, because a lot of kids
dyslexia.
So we're going to focus on all the different things that fall under the umbrella of autism. And we are hoping to get one of a school teacher that teaches in remedial to actually just help us through that.
Okay, so did you want to say something?
No.
Okay, so we are gonna play out with one of Caden's favorite songs. So please, guys, click on the heart.
Wait, can I have a little speak before we go?
No, we no. You spoke the whole show.
No, but
don't
guys,
Don't
I
you
think
dare.
that the stream has heard so much about Caden. I think we deserve a video that we can post so the stream can meet Caden. Do you think that's possible?
Yes, we can.
Even
do
if
that.
it's one of the puzzles, show us how he does it back to front.
Okay. We'll do that.
Okay, we're gonna tackle that maybe on the 2nd of April.
Yes.
We can post that.
Perfect.
Okay, 100%. Guys, we're gonna play out with Caden's favorite song. Please, can you go crazy with the hearts? Remember, blue is the color for tonight's theme. It's the autism awareness color. We will catch you. Oh, guys, please note that we are not streaming on Sunday. Us, the Fan Zone, is not streaming on Sunday. We are unavailable.
We're having a break. Our first
We're going on leave.
Today. And we sent our leave form to the station manager.
And we gave you extra time today, so don't fight with us. But anyway, from us, we would like to wish you guys a happy and safe Easter, because we will only see you guys next week for Let's Talk with the Fan Zone. Please, guys, the color is blue. You're gonna do what you need to do, and we'll catch you guys.
Brown paper.
We'll catch you guys next week.
Squirrel is a sexy motherfucker.
Give me your attention, baby. I gotta tell you a little something about yourself. You're wonderful, flawless, ooh, you a sexy lady. But you walk around here like you wanna be someone else. Ooh, whoa. I know that you don't know it, but you're fine, so fine. Fine, so fine. Ooh, whoa. Oh, girl, I'm gonna show you when you're mine, oh, mine. Mine, oh, mine. Treasure. That is what you are. Honey, you're my golden star. And you can make my wish come true. If you let me treasure you. If you let me treasure you. Pretty girl, you should be smiling. A girl like you should never look so blue. You're everything I see in my dreams. I wouldn't say that to you if it wasn't true. Ooh, whoa. I know that you don't know it, but you're fine, so fine. Fine, so fine. Ooh, whoa. Oh, girl, I'm gonna show you when you're mine, oh, mine. Mine, oh, mine. Treasure. That is what you are. Honey, you're my golden star. And you can make my wish come true. If you let me treasure you. If you let me treasure you. You are my treasure. You are my treasure. You are my treasure. Yeah, you are my treasure. You are my treasure. You are my treasure. Yeah, you are treasure. You is treasure. You are my treasure. You are my golden star. You are my treasure. You can make my treasure come true. You are my treasure. If you let me treasure you.
Yo, what's up?
It's the Funky Samurai, Kensei Funky. And this is the Fan Zone with Tony and Ross, only on Radio of Color. Away.